Hello everybody and welcome back to the Ketogenic Fasting Project, video number 21. I call this one the Outrage and Consternation video. The reason is we're drowning in bad information. We have been my entire life. Long before I was born, this started. And so I want to talk a little bit about why the information is so bad and why it's so entrenched in our society and in fact the entire world just about. So I'm talking to my buddy Mitch one day, and Mitch and a couple other friends and I had been in a contest a while before to see who could lose the most body fat. Called it the We Are Mortals contest. And sometime after that, I'm talking to Mitch. Mitch telling me about his friend who had gone to the doctor and they had done some sort of test, maybe a glucose tolerance test. And his buddy had gone on a diet where he basically ate low glycemic foods, and had a lot of success at cutting body fat and getting into shape. So I go to the doctor and I talk to my doctor about it. And this doctor says, oh, well, it doesn't matter what you eat. Calories are calories. And he's went on to tell me, it's like, well, if I'm going to go to a party at night, like I don't eat during the day, so when I get to the party, I can eat lots of party foods. But it doesn't matter what kind of food you eat. And I'm looking at this guy, and I'm thinking he's maybe $120, $130. I doubt this guy can carry his own luggage through the airport. I, on the other hand, are probably 330 pounds, a foot taller than he is. I go to the gym every day, and I'm pretty sure this guy had never seen the inside of a gym. So, I mean, I would pretty much consider him. He's one of those flabby, skinny, fat people. He's, slightly portly, but relatively thin. But just, I'm thinking this he has no idea what he's talking about, and he I'm wasting my time with him. So, anyways, don't be discouraged because later on, I just did my own thing. I had a new doctor, and I told him what I was doing. And my doctor just said, "Well, whatever you're doing is a lot safer than having some sort of surgery, and that's the only way I see the results that you're having." So, you know, I I feel a little bit outraged. Like I said before, my mom died of cancer. Well, she had cancer. She died of pneumonia, all related to diet, in my opinion. My grandmother died of Alzheimer's. My friend Ceci died of esophageal cancer. My friend Rick died of kidney cancer. I wouldn't be surprised if this was tied to that somehow, because if anything, once you have the cancer, if you know about a ketogenic diet, if you know about fasting, you got a real fighting chance. You're not just subject to surgery, radiation, and chemotherapy. You've got a powerful tool to help your body fight cancer because the immune system can kill cancer cells. Any doctor can tell you that. So let's look here. We've all seen this. There's been lots of variations of this, but this is what is known as a food pyramid, right? And so they tell you at the bottom here, you got all these grains and stuff that are supposed to be the basis of your diet, and then you got fruits and vegetables, and then some milk and meat and eggs and cheese, and then you got fats, oils, and sweets at the top that you're supposed to eat sparingly, right? So this is the basis of our culture and where we got all our bad information from. And while the image of this food pyramid might have varied over time, this is what's been being pushed upon us for quite a while. And it has its origins, I believe, in the Department of Agriculture. And of course, one of the Department of Agriculture's job is to promote agriculture, not necessarily to promote healthy lifestyle. Well, although that's how they sell it, right? Here's a guy that's often vilified, demonized, and otherwise trounced upon as one of the instigators. This is Ansel Keys. Ansel Keys believed that basically saturated fat or animal fat was the cause of heart disease, and he vehemently defended his assertion that we needed to eat all these grains and fruits and vegetables and avoid the animal. And from all accounts, this is written up in many, many, many books on diet. The guy was a bully. So here we have a case of science being corrupted, apparently by his ego, and then eventually by money. He's just paid to produce results. He's also known for the K ration. So anybody who was in the military back in the day would probably recognize the K ration. As you can see, the K ration consisted of things like cigarettes and candy, and crackers, right? Even if you believe whole grains or something like that is good for you, you really think these processed crackers and maybe some canned meat or something is really all that great for you? I don't know. So Ration Type K, otherwise known as the K ration, bears his name. Of course, they're not used anymore, but anyways, you can imagine all the people that went through the military, especially like from World War II on. World War II, Korea, and into Vietnam, I believe these K rations were used. So, that's pretty good. Pretty good influence on the population. And of course, cigarettes, flume cured tobacco, which is sweeter than other tobaccos, which makes smoking a cigarette much more pleasant, was all part of that too, because they convert the starch in the tobacco into a sugar, so it's much easier and smoother to inhale. So you got kind of a double whammy here. You got terrible nutritional influence, plus you've got cigarettes. And it wasn't like Ansel Keys didn't get any opposition in his day, because guys like John Yudkin, who wrote Pure White and Deadly, were adamantly opposed to it. But Yudkin was essentially shouted down. Ansel Keys kind of aligned himself with, I believe it was Walter Mondale at the time, and that was one of the reasons why the federal government kind of took on the Ansel Keys position as far as dietary guidelines. And of course, the USDA, keeps reaffirming the notion that we need to eat this diet. So you just go to their website. So it's tamed down a little bit these days, and a lot of the stuff is kind of vague, but definitely something to keep an eye on, and definitely someplace we should all put some pressure on to change. I think we should all be outraged. So don't fall for stupid cliches or sayings like eat a balanced diet, because nobody can tell you what that is. That's the kind of thing you got to figure out on your own. It has nothing to do with balance. It has to do with eating the right diet for you, for this being individualized. And I guarantee you that people are not going to flourish on a high grain diet, especially if it's full of lectins, things like corn, modern corn and soybeans and all that. And even oatmeal, which in a number of studies were shown to cause tooth decay and brain fog and obesity, and you can hire all the Wilford Brimleys you want to sell it. It's not good for you. Oats is for horses. Same thing with fruit. Oh man, we're supposed to eat all this fruit, but now we're finding out fruit's hard on the liver, fruit's hard on the kidneys. It's kind of something you should probably eat seasonally. You should probably try and only eat fruit that is ripened naturally and not gassed in the back room of the supermarket, because the lectin, the defensive lectins in the plant are just going to be higher if it wasn't ripened properly. So if it wasn't ripened naturally, it's probably not good for you. And that actually doesn't include all fruit. In fact, it does not include avocados, which don't contain the lectins that seem to cause health problems for human beings. Lectins, of course, if you read the Plant Paradox, basically the whole thing is saying you should eat a plant-based diet with just a little bit of seafood, and as long as you avoid the plants with the harmful lectins and the vegetables and the grains, you're going to be all right. Peel your tomatoes and peppers and get rid of the seeds and all that, which it may be true. And like I've said before, people can do a ketogenic diet or a high fat diet on and still be vegan or vegetarian. You don't necessarily have to eat animal flesh, but I believe that our ancestors did, and I think that's why it's good for us. Of course, if you feed those animals a bunch of lectins, like you know, they feed cows corn to fatten them at the end, but typically that accounts for less than 10% of what the cow eats over its life. And it probably has the most effect just on the fat, on the, you're not going to get as much omega-3 in the fat. In Plant Paradox, the author talks about how they have to give antacids to cows just so they could eat all the soy that they use to fatten them up, because the lectins of the soybeans give the cows really bad heartburn to the point where they stop eating if they don't give them a whole bunch of calcium carbonate. Supposedly half of the calcium carbonate in the world goes just to getting cows to eat stuff like soybean and corn that they normally don't want to eat. They also give them lysine, which is an amino acid that is missing from corn that helps the cows digest the corn. So anyways, if you read in the books too, you'll find out that when sugar got cheap enough, farmers used to spray it on weeds to get the cows to eat weeds they wouldn't normally eat. Supposedly some cows were even fed city garbage and stuff like that. I don't know if that still goes on. I don't know how common that was in the past, but you do have to kind of wonder when you're got to give a cow a bunch of supplements or antacids or whatever so you can eat this diet. You're probably going off the rails at that point. The other question is New World foods. Most of us, our genes come from Europe, Africa, and Asia, and a lot of the New World foods, that were exported to the world after Christopher Columbus, we aren't necessarily genetically adapted to, and that includes a lot of the nightshades. So potatoes, tomatoes, stuff like that. Corn, obviously, peanuts. Could account for why there's such a problem with peanut allergies, because they're definitely a New World food. Same thing with bananas, something loaded with sugar and glycogen, and nothing like it used to be as well. All these foods have been modified. So, and then in the China study, they talk a lot about aflatoxin, which comes from a mold. It's probably one of the most carcinogenic substances known to man, and it's very common with peanuts. So in the U.S., it's pretty well regulated. But this is I'm going to do a whole nother show on the China study, because I got some problems with that book as well. But they go on and on about aflatoxin and protein in that one. So again, I want to thank everybody for watching or listening to my video here on YouTube. I ask you to subscribe to help me out, and I sincerely hope this helps somebody. Let me know if there's some issues you want cleared up or something you want me to cover. Thanks again. Bye-bye.